Maybe. Welcome to Movie the Podcast. That's right. Movie the Podcast. It's the first week of Hanksgiving, celebrating everyone's favorite comedic turned dramatic actor. Sean pulled a second shift at the old Stuck on His Dad's Dick store, so he's not here, but he's got TJ and Alec, and of course
Can I just say that
working overtime.
No new crap. Can I just say that in the pantheon of our theme names, I got to say Hanksgiving ranks up there for me. It is a great theme. Up there. It's really good. God, you came up with a good one today in the chat. I thought was quite excellent.
Yeah, I don't know if we have a January or not, but if we don't, I'm
January? I don't think we do.
Our January is currently it's Will Smith movies, is The Pursuit of Crappiness.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to bring it to a vote.
Yeah,
go ahead, guys. I'm
going to lobby for Leonardo DiCapricorn, but if not, then we can just keep going with Pursuit of Crappiness.
You know what? I appreciate the avenue you've opened up though for zodiac signs. I don't think I ever thought about zodiac signs, so now it's a whole new world that we can explore.
Does Capricorn filter into February?
Capricorn, no, it's December 22nd to like January 22nd.
Wow.
Yeah. But now we get to look at them all. Pisces.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Cancer.
saying. It's perfect.
Sagittarius.
Hell yeah. Isn't your birthday's coming up in a few weeks, guys?
My birthday's coming up
Monday.
It's Friday.
Oh shit!
Wait,
happy? Yeah, I forgot.
Anthony's
good. Monday is Anthony's is I think Monday. His is the 13th.
Time is irrelevant. So next week
is the 16th, and Parks is the 13th.
So next week is your birthday pick.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was trying to think of what I would want to watch, and I hadn't. I had a thought, and I completely lost my mind. I have a good pick for Hanksgiving, so who knows?
Anyway, what did you all watch this week? I said to hurry up through the show, and I am delaying the show like crazy. Sorry, I just woke up. I'm very groggy. What did you all watch this week? As Gogs is eating a tea.
Yeah,
Alec eating a tea.
Yeah,
I watched 19 things.
Jesus H. Christ.
The first was Ken Burns Baseball, the 27-hour documentary. We're going to start with that. We're going to talk about each hour.
Each hour. Yeah. Every year of baseball.
Yeah. Ken Burns, man.
You know, I've never watched any of those, like ever.
Never?
I haven't watched
Civil War is...
Yeah, I hear they're great, but I've never watched it. I would love the baseball one probably, because I love baseball and the history of baseball.
I heard the Prohibition one's very good, too.
Yeah, I haven't watched a minute of any of the Ken Burns. I just know of him, you know.
I watched two things and some of TV stuff. I watched The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Hell yeah.
That movie rocks.
How does it hold up?
Yep.
The movie rocks. Like, there's some parts that are kind of cringy, and like they use the other F word a couple of times, which isn't cool now. But back then, like, it wasn't as frowned upon as it is now. But overall, that movie fucking holds up. Like, everybody's so good in that.
It's a great cast.
I know it's not hip to say anymore, but you know how I know you're gay? I saw you once make a sourdough bread bowl. It's fucking hilarious. I don't care what anybody says.
The cast slaps all around. I mean, Steve Carell, Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd. I think that started like the Renaissance.
Nice. Romany
Malco, who really didn't do a whole heck of a lot more.
Yeah, that guy's great.
He was really good in that. He does some. I guess he'll pop up every now and then. I'll see him and stuff. He was in the first. He was in the first couple of seasons of Weeds.
Wasn't he in Blades of Glory? Am I remembering that correctly?
He is. I don't think he's in the whole thing for some reason. I want to say he like quits halfway through and doesn't show up again. I could be wrong. Jane Lynch is fucking great in it. Kevin Hart's in it for half a second. Like,
yeah. But it's like one of the most memorable scenes.
Not famous yet, Kevin Hart. But yeah, man, everybody in them. Catherine Keener's really good in it, and I'm usually not a very big Catherine Keener fan. I don't think she's a very good actress. honestly.
I like her a lot.
But in this, she's like it seems very real. Her performance is very real. For however stupid that sounds. Like she reacts to things like a real person.
Yeah, she's good. I like her. You know who else is in that who wasn't famous yet is Jonah Hill. Remember? He shows up and he wants.
I just want to buy these right now.
He wants to buy those like platform shoes.
I think Kat Denning, Elizabeth Banks.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Kat Dennings was her daughter. That's right. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Jesus, it's like a veritable who's who.
Mindy Kaling.
Oh yeah,
She's Paul Rudd's ex. But yeah, man, that movie slaps. It's really funny. Like it's really funny.
Judd Apatow?
Yeah, that's
one of his first.
That's one of the big ones. Yeah,
that started it. Pretty much. I mean, like Freaks and Geeks started it, but this was like his first like smash hit, and this movie is the reason that The Office got a second season.
Is that
no
right?
shit?
I didn't know that.
They apparently they weren't super happy with it, but then this movie was like a smash over the summer, so they ordered some more episodes to see how it went. And then like you guys, I'm talking to a couple of Office fans. Like from season 1 to season 2, like
it's very different.
It's very different, and his performance is very different. Like in the first season, he's really just like a fucking dick. He's basically David Brent from the other one.
Yeah,
and then in season 2, they make him kind of just like dumber.
Yeah,
he's like kind of aloof and like misunderstood sometimes, or he's kind of like just an intentional asshole to everybody.
No, if anything, he's like kind of sweet. He's just kind of an idiot, and he just kind of puts himself in bad situations.
I feel like a lot of comedies fall into that trap where they start with somebody trying to be like the edgy character or the mean character. Like Homer was a dick first season of The Simpsons. Then they just embraced the fact that he was an idiot, and then he became lovable. Like, but the first season of Parks and Rec, like Ron Swanson was kind of straight and narrow and not as much fun. And then you kind of, everybody learns that, you just got to make him a little adorable, a little simple.
Side note, we went and saw him last week at the Lyric.
We saw Nick Offerman?
Yeah, he was in
that's awesome.
last week. That was so much fun. That guy's great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
The other movie I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie, the new animated one.
Yeah.
Had you seen that before?
I had not. This is the first time I watched it. I thought it was good. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
But it didn't need to be really for me to like it. Like it didn't have to be a tour de force.
It played all the hits. It did everything you wanted it to.
I got all the sound effects I wanted to hear. I got like all the little nods from the game. They found neat ways to incorporate them into the video game world. Like Mario Kart and shit like that. Like turning it into like their mode of transport between worlds.
That was one of the most. I like the sequence too where him and Donkey Kong like kind of go like action based, and it kind of turns into the video game. That looked cool. Like,
I liked when I watched it. I thought that it was fun. All the nods they made to Wrecking Crew. Did anyone else play Wrecking Crew on the Nintendo Entertainment System?
No.
Back in the day.
No.
Oh, yeah. That game was a lot. It was the first game I ever played that had a level design. You could create your own levels and then break it. It was fun.
I played Blast Radius on Nintendo 64. You remember that?
Blast Corps, you mean?
Blast Core, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Blast Core. But yeah, I liked Mario. But it did end up on like my bottom half for the 2023 movies. There's a lot that was better.
I think the next one will be better.
The thing I liked most is that it was an hour and 32 minutes.
Yes,
yeah.
Like it does not like a lot of those animated shits, especially all those Illumination ones, like the Gru movies and stuff. They're like close to 2 hours, all of them.
Yeah, those movies need to be 2 hours long. Like, good lord.
Yeah, they're really gonna set the plot up for the
right. Exactly.
Banana.
It's a pretty good. That's a pretty good minute.
That's the only movies I watched. We started watching. I don't know if we'll finish it before Peacock expires on us. We started watching Twisted Metal.
Oh yeah.
How is it?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not great. But
Is
the
it trying
soundtrack,
too hard to be funny?
no, I don't think so. I just think it's just, I don't know.
It's based on a property
kind
that
of-
like no one cares about anymore.
And it's not
yeah,
funny.
and tonally, it's like it's funny at points. But
No,
it's
I mean,
all
like,
it's all over the place. Like it's
I meant the game series isn't.
Yeah.
Is it like the game series is like decidedly dark?
I mean, it's funny, like in like the dark, twisted Joker joke, like that. Like Calypso is basically like a Joker genie. It was just like, I one of the guy Axel, who's literally just in between two tires. Like his dream,
Like an Axel would be.
his goal is to be separated from his fucking tires, and I think he just like rips him out of it, and that's like, like
I mean, when you're like the or not when the main character in all your box art is a actual child killer, then like it's kind of dark.
Samoa Joe is Sweet Tooth in this, not voiced by him. It's just his body, apparently.
Yep, Samoa Joe does the body acting, and Will Arnett does the voice.
Oh,
nice.
Weird.
Yeah,
it's a good voice though.
What character is
not-
Anthony Mackie supposed to be?
he's called Milkman. I don't know if he's like original
not from
for
the game.
show.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not. I don't know. It's missing something. But I'll tell you what, the soundtrack absolutely fucking slaps. It might be one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in my life.
Really?
It is so fucking good, and it's all like 90s and 2000s shit because they say like something happened in 2003, like the world basically
Twisted Metal Black came out.
Whatever it was, the nuclear bombs or virus or whatever the fuck happened to the world happened then. So like no more music got made after then. So everything is it's so goddamn good.
Oh, it's like Fallout.
I mean, I guess I haven't played.
Is that
Fallout.
the canonical reason why all the music in Fallout is like old?
Yeah, because the bombs dropped in the 40s, and that's just all the music they had was from the 40s. I'm looking at the soundtrack right now, though. This is some good. There's some good stuff here.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie's good. Like Anthony Mackie's a charming guy. Like I like him in it. Stephanie Beatrice is in it. She's good. Like everybody's good in it. It's just I don't know. There's something missing.
Is there like
something
legit
just not like connected?
Is there car combat in the show?
Yeah, but they have guns out of their cars and shit.
Is it a tournament?
No, they're like so. There's like outposts all over the United States after this war, and Anthony Mackie's character Milkman delivers shit from outpost to outpost, and they reward him with stuff. And he's trying to get something from one to another, where the reward they say is you'll be able to live in this city with us. You won't have to be a milkman anymore.
So no Calypso then. Calypso is not in it, I assume.
I mean, not yet. I'm only like halfway through the first season. And I think I know they've only got one season. I don't know. I'll probably finish it to see how it turns up.
Yeah.
What's his name? Thomas Hayden Church plays like a cop who's like an overbearing cop who like cuts people's fingers off and brands them and stuff. And he's really good.
Just a cop then.
They don't really brand people too much, do they? Yeah. That's all I watched. We wanted to watch a movie that we rented from the library called Spirit Halloween.
The hell?
Literally.
It's about the store?
Yup. It's a horror movie made last year about the store.
Oh, I'd watch
all right. I'm in.
It's like,
please report back on that one.
I can't. It won't work. You need to find it and put it on the Plex. It just didn't work. We went to watch it the other night.
Is it just? And it's just called Spirit Halloween. You said?
Yep.
I'll check it out. I'll see if I can find it.
Christopher Lloyd's in it.
No shit.
Wow.
Yeah. But no, that's all I watched. Cogs.
I watched two things, but they're two things I've already watched, so I'll be brief. They're both 2020
and Zootopia.
No, they're both 2023 movies that I just rewatched. Teenage Ninja Turtles, that movie's upon rewatching it, it moved up my list for 2023.
You're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem?
That is what I'm referring to, yes.
Yeah,
and I think I'm gonna think that's the best one, the best Ninja Turtle movie they've ever made.
I agree. I really, really enjoyed that movie quite a bit.
The scene the scene where to the I think I said it before, the no diggity scene where they're just doing like the old boy side shot, everyone just kicking a pile of ass is so good. Like the movie's so good, and the soundtrack also slaps on that one. And then another movie that's stock is rising, and I don't know if you guys have watched this yet or not, but I rewatched the Dungeons and Dragons movie with my kid.
I've yet to see that.
That movie's a shit ton of fun. Like it's just a fun, kind of in the spirit of Ant-Man 1 heist movie, and Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez have like really good chemistry, and he's like super charming, but it's also got like a good amount of heart to it. It's really enjoyable. It's funny. It's like legit funny.
They need to make a sequel and put all the Baldur's Gate characters in there, and then I'll watch it.
But no, it's like if you guys haven't, have you seen that yet this year, Alec?
I did. I thought it was pretty good. I just didn't get a lot of the jokes because I
guess that's
D&D. I thought
mileage may vary.
A lot of the straightforward humor was pretty good, like the scene in the graveyard.
Oh, that kills me every time.
Alec didn't get all the D&D jokes because he's had sex with women.
Hey, it's a trade-off. Yeah, but the scene where they keep waking up all the corpses just cracks me the fuck up.
It's basically like the top was Homer goes to the top of the King Mart. He's like, "Are you really the Dalai Lama?" Yes. Really? Yes. Really? Yes. Yes. That is your 3 questions.
I love that joke.
You should give it a look, TJ. I think you enjoy it. I think you know enough high fantasy. You know enough D&D lore to appreciate some of the stuff. But even if you don't,
I famously don't have sex with anyone. So yeah, I don't care for tabletop games, but I'm very familiar with the lore and all that shit. And I read all the fucking Dragonlance novels. Come on now, like what do you want from me?
But that's everything, TJ.
I read fucking Ravenloft books. How about that, bitch? Embarrassing. So embarrassing.
I don't know what that means, but here we are.
Exactly. Forbidden Realms. Look into it. Yeah. Forgotten Realms. If Vinny listens to this, he's gonna be really mad because I'm getting the name wrong. I watched one thing, but it's a fucking banger, and I fucking loved it. And it for one fucking time, the fucking internet horror community got one right. I watched the new Shudder original When Evil Lurks. It's an Argentinian film, and it is amazing.
Is it?
However, I can already tell you that this movie is not for everyone because this movie pulls absolutely no punches. This is, without a doubt, one of the most brutal horror movies like I've ever seen. And it's one of those things where I really liked it. I talked about it on the show. I really, really enjoyed Evil Dead Rise. I thought it was great.
Loved it.
I thought it was great. But one complaint that I had is and again, I know why they didn't do it, because it's a fucking mainstream movie and they want to make money and they don't want to fucking alienate people. But one of the things that I wish the movie would have done, and I wish it would have pushed things a little further, is the youngest daughter in that movie has plot armor like crazy. And I thought that the movie would be fucking wild because they kill the other 2 kids in that movie. Spoiler alert. They don't kill the little kid. Kill the little kid first. And then you don't know as an audience.
Then all bets are off.
What the fuck to expect. Because killing little kids is fucking haram. It's not, you don't do it in movies. It never happens. Well, I'm here to tell you, When Evil Lurks, it happens. And it is fucking insane. And there's one scene, and I'm not going to spoil the whole movie, and I won't be too specific about it, but there is one scene where they do this thing where they show this kid, and they keep cutting back to it. And it's literally, it's the director going, hey, you think we're going to do it? We're not going to do it. Oh, we might do it. Oh, and then they do it. And, like, the movie is, and not just the brutality of the movie is great. The acting, it's Argentinian, but the acting is absolutely incredible. The two leads in the movie are really, really good. The world building in this movie is great. This is something I'd like to dive into maybe in future episodes, but this is a stealth post-apocalyptic movie, because this is a movie where, and they're very vague about it, but this is a movie where basically the world has discovered that demons exist, and like demon possession is just something that happens. They have a sect of people called cleaners to get rid of the demons, but they don't like dwell on it, but they just have enough where it's like, there's enough like hinting at the world around them. Like they basically say that like the age of churches and God is dead because demons are real and God doesn't help you. And I think that shit like that is so fucking cool. Like to not dwell on that shit, to just kind of throw it out there. And there's all these rules that you have to follow. Like once you deal with a possessed person, like the demon like constantly like wants you to kill it so it can like basically evolve into like the next state of demonhood. There's just so many good things about this movie. It's also like right around, it's a little over an hour and a half, which is like, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's shot really well. I thought that like there's scenes that are like super tense, and it's an A+. It's like, it's one of the best movies I've seen this year, period. But
Shudder keeps recommending it to me.
It's so good. Did it
just drop?
Yeah, like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. It's incredible. It's a triumph. It's only this guy's like second film. I gotta watch his other movie now, but like I loved it. And if you can stomach some very disturbing imagery, because there is, again, I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's some stuff in here that's gonna stick with you. There's some stuff. There's a scene in this movie that I haven't been able to stop thinking about since I watched this movie, but it's so good, and it's so like it's what we always say, right? The honest thing is, it's a very simple story, but like with all the trappings, there's just so much more to it that if once you like rewatch it and you think about like the implications of what's going on, because basically the basic plot of the movie is these two guys live out in the woods. They find there's these other people that live kind of near them, their neighbors, and they're harboring this infected, I forget what the word they use, but they're harboring this guy that is possessed by a demon, and he looks fucking horrible. And then they go to their landlord, and the landlord's like, no, we gotta fucking do something about this. And they try to like basically move him, and then just shit goes wrong, and like shit just keeps going wrong, and it's awesome. I fucking loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. Like I can't say enough good things. Like this is gonna end up in my top 10 this year without a doubt. Like I loved it to death. So When Evil Lurks, highly recommended. But yeah, that's everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what did we watch? What happened in Road to Perdition, guys?
I think
nothing
much. Road to Perdition movie opens, and actually, you know what? I can't even remember how it necessarily starts. It starts with a voiceover. It's a kid talking about how his dad a jackass? Is his dad a dick? Is his dad evil? We don't know, but I spent 6 weeks with him in 1931, and this is what I can tell you. And you're introduced to Tom Hanks' character and his family. Tom Hanks works for I believe an Irish mobster. I don't think they ever say what city they hail from, but I imagine it's within striking distance of Chicago.
Yeah, I assumed it was somewhere near Chicago, because at one point he cleans out Capone's bank or whatever. So
yeah, let's just say Cleveland. So he works as a hitman for him, and you find out that Tom Hanks, didn't know his dad, never. So Paul Newman, who just does Paul Newman got nominated for an Oscar. Maybe this thing did win one Academy Award. I feel like it should one more.
He's great in this movie. Also, I don't think he was much long for this world after this movie.
No, he's an old man in this movie.
I think he passed away.
Too many salad dressings. Should have kept some of that salad dressing.
I'm gonna have my legs broke. So he works for Paul Newman. Paul Newman's a mob boss. He's got a fuck about son played by Daniel Craig, who's just eating the scenery in this movie.
Yeah, I forgot Daniel Craig was in this fucking movie. He's really good too. Everybody's good in this movie. Also, it's nice to see Daniel Craig do a not a foghorn leghorn accent like in fucking Knives Out.
Like you liked him in Logan Lucky, did you not?
I like him in almost everything. I think he's great. He's fantastic in fucking Layer Cake. I mean, he's great in the James Bond movies. It sucks that those movies just aren't very good after the second one.
Yeah. Well, so he starts at a funeral, and this guy starts mouthing off at a funeral, and everybody thinks everybody's drunk and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So then Tom Hanks has to go, he's got 2 sons and his wife. His wife's played by Hateful Eight. What's her name? 3-name banger. Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah. Also, the guy whose brother died, that actor looks so fucking familiar.
He's in a ton of things.
He's the king beyond the wall.
That's it. Thank you, Alex. That's it. I could not place. I was like, where do I know that fucking guy from? Yeah, and you're absolutely right. He was in Game of Thrones.
So nobody knows exactly what. You can already tell there's sort of a standoffish relationship between Tom Hanks and his kids. Like the mom is the source of the loving, nurturing stuff, and Tom Hanks is the breadwinner, and he's just doing what he does, and he wants to keep it all separated. And you find out why, because he's a hitman, right? And he doesn't want his kids involved in this thing.
Also, it's worth pointing out, like you say that Tom Hanks works for Paul Newman, but like Paul Newman basically raised Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he's like the father he never had, right? Yeah. So that's all. This whole movie is just a story about fathers and sons, right? So one night Tom Hanks gets a call that he's got to go do some business for Paul Newman, and Paul Newman's son, played by Daniel Craig, is going to come along. And so his oldest son, Michael, decides to tag along because he wants to see what's what.
He snuck in the boot. He snuck in the back of the car, yeah.
The scene, so he ends up witnessing a gangland murder where Daniel Craig kills this guy who's accusing Daniel Craig of being a thief and whatever else and trying to defend his brother's name. And then his dad unloads a Tommy gun to these other fellas. And the way this scene is shot, the perspective of the kid watching it is amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then they see a movement, they run outside, and they see the son like hunched over by a wrought iron gate. And he's like shivering and scared. And then now the kid's all jacked up. Like the kid's like, what does my dad do? Blah, blah, blah. So he's starting to have trouble. And now everybody's like, okay, is the kid going to talk? Because both the kids, I forget, it's Michael and I forget what the other one's name is. Peter, I think. They love Paul Newman like a grandfather, right? And he's the mob boss, and there's this big family kind of feel to the whole thing. But then now the kid's all upset because he knows what his dad does. He knows what his pseudo grandfather does.
He witnessed a murder, and I think
he witnessed multiple murders.
I think he understands the gravity of that situation as well.
So now everybody's like, he's going to talk. No, he's not going to talk. Everything's going to be fine. And things are kind of as they are. So then Tom Hanks gets sent off on a mission to Chicago, I think, to go collect some money for someone that owes money to Paul Newman. And we're led through this very tense scene where he hands this letter to this guy, and the guy's reading it, looking at him, reading it, looking at him, reading it, looking at him. And just moments later, Tom Hanks had like a really like friendly conversation with like the bouncer bodyguard about, hey man, put in a good word for me. I'd love to come work for I forget what the gentleman's name, but with Paul Newman's character is. And this is being cross-cut by effectively a home invasion at Tom Hanks's house.
It's like a fucking horror movie.
Well, it's a 3-way cross-cut, right? So there's a home invasion at Tom Hanks's house. Tom Hanks is in this tense situation in Chicago, and meanwhile, Michael, the one who witnessed the murder, he's been unhinged since this has happened. He's gotten into a fight at school, and he's like writing "I will not fight at school" 100 times on the blackboard. So he's not home. So Jennifer Jason Leigh and the youngest son get murdered. Michael comes home just in time to see that Daniel Craig has done it but doesn't get murdered himself. Tom Hanks hands a note to a guy that says, if you kill Tom Hanks' character, all debts are paid. He shoots his way out of that, realizes it's what's on, rushes home to find his youngest son and wife murdered. The sound of his anguish when he comes upstairs, the way this scene is shot is heartbreaking. I heard. Yeah. So here's the thing. Before we get,
I also like in this scene. Sorry, guys. I like the when Michael sees Daniel Craig, like he thinks he sees him through the door, but it's dark and he can't see. All Daniel Craig is looking at is his own reflection. I thought that was like really clever.
That was a cool scene.
I thought that was pretty awesome.
And the way he's just sitting there at the table, like just waiting for his dad to come home, Michael is. But then, so there's one of the criticisms, because I was looking at this stuff at this movie afterwards. I was like, why is this movie not more popular? One of the criticisms from like Roger Ebert was you can't connect or relate to the characters. Like, you're out of your fucking mind.
What? That's insane.
And like the whole movie
probably
is
because they had all their face. That's probably
what I'm saying, like the whole movie is about trying to get people to relate and connect. So of course people are going to be cold and standoffish, but then like that's the whole.
Well, also anyway. Like that's the point of these characters. They're fucking 1930s men. They're not known to emote. Like that's
right. Men weren't allowed to have feelings until last year. So I'm
right.
Just making
we didn't understand feelings until like 2015. So I mean, What do you expect?
So now Tom Hanks and his son go on we can't be here anymore. We're going on a road. We're going on the lam. And they head to Chicago, and they meet with now I can't think of his name.
What's his name? Fucking
Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci. Yeah.
Stanley Tucci, who works for Capone. You never see Al Capone in this movie, by the way. You hear of him, right? He's like the boss of bosses of the Midwest.
Which is
he's
fine.
Like, hey man,
I feel like we've seen enough Al Capone in films. Like you can just know who he is. You don't need to see him anymore. Like,
they should have cast Tom Hardy.
that fucking movie.
So he goes to Stanley Tucci. He's like, listen, I want to come work for you guys. He's like, listen, I can't. He's like, but I got to be able to kill Daniel Craig, and I need you guys to give me cover. He's like, no, we can't do that. We can't make that deal. Okay, fine. Then the movie is kind of John Wick, right? Like it's all about because Paul Newman finds out what Daniel Craig has done, and he is pissed. But he can't be so pissed as to turn over or kill his own son. So he's like, I love you. You're a fuck up, but I'm going to protect you. So now the emotional heart of the movie is basically the bonding that happens between Tom Hanks and his oldest son as they go on the lam and then start knocking off. They're like, all right, we need to come up with some protection. We're going to start knocking off all of the banks that are holding mob money. Meanwhile, the mob has decided to hire Jude Law and his scene where he's introduced as this like sort of he's like a serial killer cross hitman, like psychopath.
Yeah,
he's so good in this movie.
He takes he takes pictures of dead people for.
He's basically Nightcrawler, the movie Nightcrawler.
But like I love the first scene you see him in. He goes to an active crime scene. The guy there's a guy that got stabbed. He's literally still alive. And Jude Law kills him to take his picture. Like that.
Well, he pays off the cop so he can take his picture, and then he really realizes the guy's alive. He smothers him so it'll be done.
What a fucking introduction to a character.
Well, you know everything you need to know, right?
Also, I love how they ugly up Jude Law because they give him like the fucked up, like, have you ever seen Jesus Christ, I'm blanking. Wild at Heart, Cox, the David Lynch movie. So like, look up Willem Dafoe in Wild at Heart, and they gave him the same teeth. They gave him these fucked up little teeth, and it was like it's just enough. Like it's just.
Well, they
enough.
gave him like a receding hairline and this fucked up teeth, and this weird gait. But so he's now stalking them, right? And he's very clever. It's also a lot of this is very No Country for Old Men. Like it's this cat and mouse between him and Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks and his son are like teaching his son to drive, and they're having like some heartfelt moments. And there's a scene where like Tom Hanks, I guess he finally like the levee finally breaks where his son's like, did you like Peter more than me? And like you can see like Tom Hanks like flinch and then feel bad and then get introspective and then, kind of reflect on how, he didn't want his son to turn out like him. So maybe he was distant and standoffish because he was worried that almost he'd infect him with his lifestyle because they're so much alike.
Which I love. I thought that was brilliant.
It was as a parent of two boys, it's Vance once asked me that same question and it broke my heart. So I was like, what have we done wrong?
No, son, I don't like either one of you.
yeah, both of you. So
you're both just awful.
So they go around, they're knocking off banks. Jude Law is like, there's a great scene in a diner where Jude Law almost catches him. They finally figure out, all right, we're gonna. The mob catches wise to what they're doing. There's a big standoff at this hotel. There's incredibly tense scene at this hotel with the accountant and a stock ticker and Jude Law stalking them. And then everyone escapes, whatever.
Pause real quick.
Yeah.
Do either one of you know, how did those things fucking work?
Stock tickers?
Yeah. Were they just tied into a phone line? How did that work?
I mean, they were tied into like a telegraph line.
Just like a wire.
Oh, okay.
Like
and so
wire,
every stock ticker, in the nation was getting read the same. Like, you know, that crawl. Like, have you ever watched sure. That crawl across the bottom? It's just that in paper form.
Same idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, the guy that plays the like sleazy like stockbroker guy, that guy's great. He always plays a fucking creep. Famously in the movie Happiness, he's the guy that plays the pedophile. That guy's always good. I don't know his name. He's like he's like those guys. Like, you know what I mean? He's been in a million fucking movies, but I can never.
Dylan Baker. He was
he's
Kirk
great.
Connors in
yes,
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
That's right. Yeah.
We never got to see him lizard out.
Yeah,
nope.
He's awesome. Good actor.
So they
also
keep knocking off banks.
Wants a runny
soft-boiled egg. That's what he wants desperately.
Nasty.
So, Tom Hanks catches one. They go to a farmhouse. They get rehab. They meet a nice family. The family's never had kids. They met too late in life. But they get healed up and they're like, thank you very much for your time. They leave them what probably in the 1930s equated to millions of dollars.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
And then they're off to go finish this up and settle scores. So he goes back to confront his old with this new information. He finds out that Connor, played by Daniel Craig, has been stealing from
which is also what the guy that Daniel Craig murdered implied in the very beginning of the movie.
Well, and also it's implied that guy's brother got murdered for the same reason, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So Tom Hanks goes back to the town, meets up with Paul Newman in the church. They have a great scene there where he's like confronting him. He's like, Connor's been stealing it from me. He's like, I know. What do you want me to do? He's my kid.
Yeah.
And then you are treated to the quietest assassination scene.
This scene is fucking brilliant. I love it.
Masterfully shot. Like just Tom Hanks just guns down everybody, looks Paul Newman in the eye. Paul Newman's like, I'm glad it's you. And then Tom Hanks 30 rounds into this old man. And
which
then,
they don't show, which I like.
They show Tom Hanks' face the whole time.
Yeah.
And then so it's all kind of decided, like, listen, nobody likes Connor. Everyone suffers Connor being Daniel Craig, because he is Paul Newman's son, and Paul Newman's protected from on high. Now that Paul Newman's not here anymore, we just want no more trouble. We don't care about Connor.
Also, real quick, before Tom Hanks did all this, he left a fucking letter to his son because he's fully expecting not to come back.
Yeah, it's a suicide mission.
Yeah,
So he takes out Paul Newman. He takes out Connor in this. Well, he makes a deal with Stanley Tucci. Takes out Connor, and just like there's no monologuing. It's just ice cold.
Yeah.
Just blows his brains out in the bathtub. You don't even get to see it. You get to see the reflection in the mirror in the door as it swings closed. It's so good.
Another good choice.
And then you're like, okay, well, now we're going to go finally to the aunt's house, who lives on Lake Michigan, presumably. And we're going to live there now. And just have this like nice moment. They're walking down the beach.
I know, but everybody, I'm sure you all felt the same way. You're like, well, Jude Law is that loose end is just dangling, and
Jude Law gets severely wounded but not killed, and no one ever calls him off. And I've seen this movie before, so I knew what happens.
I think like it's one of those things where it's like, damn it, like you know what's coming.
Well, so like the son's outside playing with the dog, and then inside, Tom Hanks walks into this empty house, announces his presence, walks into this
house, by the way.
this room that looks like a painting. It's just stark white with this big picture window. And he has this moment where he waves to his son out on the beach, and you see his son's reflection in the window in the bottom corner. And it's like the man's finally found peace.
Yeah.
And then Jude Law shoots him twice. He's on the ground. Jude Law is setting up his tripod to take his picture. And like Tom Hanks, it's so quiet. Like the scene's so just quiet. And then all of a sudden, Michael's there with a gun pointed at Jude Law. And Jude Law's like, hey, give me the gun. Give me the gun. And you can see the hurt in Tom Hanks' eyes. He's laying on the ground. He's like shaking his head like, no, don't, because They just plead, and you see Michael just can't bring himself to do it, and then you hear it's a close up of Michael's face, and you hear a bang, Jude Law falls over dead, and you realize that Tom Hanks has pulled a revolver out from his pocket and shoots him, and then Michael's like, I couldn't do it, and Tom Hanks couldn't. The relief on his face to know that his son will not be like him in his last moments is crazy, and then he goes and lives with the nice family that took them in. The movie is beautiful. I wouldn't cut out a minute of it. I got nothing.
This is a weird compliment, but Tom Hanks is acting when he's dying. Like when he gets shot, his reactions is so good. Like I don't know if I've ever really noticed someone die well before, but I thought throughout the movie, like Tom Hanks, and throughout this whole month we're going to see this, but like Tom Hanks is a fucking brilliant actor, but like he carries himself like definitely off character, off brand, because he's always like a very pleasant, nice person.
He's a bad guy in this movie.
Well, he's not. He's a bad guy, but he's also just like very stoic. I feel like. I guess he was stoic in Saving Private Ryan as well. But like, there's just something about him in this movie. Like, I don't know. I think his performance is just really good, and it's very nuanced. I thought like that death scene is like one of the best death scenes like I can remember, and I thought like it's a little cheesy like how it ends, but like it reincorporates that scene that we were just talking about. It fits. It's the right ending. Like it's what you need to do. Like if you did anything else, it doesn't fit the whole movie. Like it's the only way to end the movie.
I feel like this movie. I forget. I saw this movie. I think it came out in 2002. I think I saw it whenever I didn't see it in the theater, but whenever it came out to video, I'm sure I rented it and I watched it and I was like, it's all right. But I was watching it like from the eyes of like a 23-year-old with no perspective at all. Yeah. And it was just kind of like, it was like a boring mob movie for me as a young man. And like now I'm like, this is a masterpiece. How does this movie not get just like,
well, I wish Sean was here, because it definitely brings back something that we say on the show all the time, where this feels like a movie for adults, right? Like this is a very prestige type movie. Like this is a mom and dad movie. You know what I mean? Like there's no like, I don't know. It just doesn't have. They don't really make a lot of stuff like this anymore, it seems like. But anyway, I'm fucking up on everyone's favorite question. Alec, is the prohibition your favorite part of this movie?
Yeah, I don't like people drinking.
Nice.
God, how are we friends?
He doesn't like that you drink. He just likes you.
Oh, well, that honestly, that's like really sweet. That actually that's incredibly endearing. Thank you, Alec. I appreciate that.
I said it.
Oh.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, there's a scene that I think Gogs skipped over where Tom Hanks goes and he's talking to, I don't know if he's a chaplain, but he's an Irish fella. And the guy's just like, don't shoot the messenger.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that seems badass.
Yeah, you're right. But you're going to give him this message from me. And then he blows his brains out.
Yeah, they tried to pay him off with like $25,000 just to go run away and go be somewhere else. And forget this all ever happened.
That shit was awesome. That was badass. That was definitely like, even in this movie, even though like, again, he is obviously like Tom Hanks is a villain, but he's got like a moral code. Like there's a line in this movie that I loved where it's in the penultimate scene between Tom Hanks and Paul Newman, where he's like, your son's a murderer, and he's like, we're all murderers. He's like, none of us. Yeah, it's like there's nothing. He says there's nothing but murderers in this room. Well, yeah, nothing. But then he also says, in our line of work, we're all guaranteed not to see the kingdom of heaven. And it's like, dude, come on, killer line. Like, but I love that. Like, whereas, like, I feel like Paul Newman's character definitely lives by a certain code. He still recognizes that he's not doing, righteous things. And same with Tom Hanks. Paul Newman and Tom Hanks are the same character, right? They're just the same character in different places. Yeah, well, and again, it ties into
because
the fact
he's
that,
the one who
that
raised him.
he's basically Paul Newman's son. He's the son
Right.
that he wanted and not the one he got.
But yeah, the code that they live by is like they're doing exactly what the other one would do.
I mean, even like earlier in the film, it's when they're having like their business meeting, and Paul Newman, it destroys the scene, but the stockbroker guy's like talking about ripping, I forget, he has some scheme where he's gonna basically like rip guys off at work, and he's like, we take guys' money after they get off work. There's no need to rip off fellas.
He's
while
trying to
they're at
fuck.
work.
He's trying to fuck the unions. He's like, no.
Yeah, and I love that. But that scene where Daniel Craig, he's like, you have some, or Paul Newman said Daniel Craig, he's like, he's got something to say, and he's like, I would like to apologize, and he's like, you would like to apologize, do again, and like, oh my god, like it's so good. Also, I love what a piece of shit Daniel Craig is in this movie, and everyone hates him. Everyone fucking hates him.
He is completely unlikable, but still like charming in his own like terrible way.
I like towards the end of the movie where Stanley Tucci is kind of talking down to him because Stanley Tucci fucking hates this guy, but he's like, look, my dad's an old man and I'm going to be in charge soon, so I don't think you should have that fucking tone with me. And it's, oh no, man, it's so good. Like I love that shit.
Like, we never got past what Alec, besides the fact that Alec didn't like the drinking. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good overall. I didn't think it was great.
Gogs was worried you were going to hate it based on your cryptic text.
Oh no, that was just being contrarian. There's lots of scenes that I like, but I'm a happy ending guy. I don't like a sad ending.
It is very sad.
There's like I guess ultimately it's happy because Michael
gets out of the
rich farm family now. But there's so many good like scenes in this movie. The scene where Tom Hanks is talking to the banker. He's like, I only want the money from the mob in Chicago.
Yeah.
If I read something in the paper in a week that some farmer got his house foreclosed on because I robbed this bank, I'm going to come back and I'm going to blow your fucking brains out.
I love that.
Like, I only want the mob money.
And I also love that he gives that teller, like, he gives him a stack. He's like, here, just say I took it. Like, I love that. Like, it's awesome.
Always trust a bank manager.
Are either one of you familiar with Lone Wolf and Cub? You are, Gogs is. So Lone Wolf and Cub is about, this movie is Lone Wolf and Cub. Like, I know this is based on a comic, and I haven't done zero research on the comic. I would be shocked if the guy wasn't directly influenced by Lone Wolf and Cub, because the story of Lone Wolf and Cub is, so the shogun's executioner, which was a real thing, back in feudal Japan, he is set up basically by a greedy, somebody that wants his position, and then basically his family's murdered. The only one's left is his son, and then he goes on a run, and it turns into like a big adventure series.
The whole plot gets summarized in the first 30 seconds of Liquid Swords by the Jizza.
It's also in Kill Bill a little bit. But anyway, like I thought that this movie was like Prohibition era Lone Wolf and Cub. Like I couldn't get over that as I was watching it. And it never dawned on me the first time I watched it. But
isn't Lone Wolf and Cub heavily referenced in Bob's Burgers? Don't they have an animated Japanese series in the show?
That's right.
That's correct.
I can't remember the name of it.
I can't.
But watch the whole box set.
That's exactly. You're 100% right, Al. I forgot all about that. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I love this fucking movie. I thought this movie was great. And it's a little long, but I felt like it doesn't overstay its welcome. I feel like it's propulsionary. Like I feel like it doesn't linger too long on anything. I was never bored watching this movie. You know? Thought it was shot incredibly well. The color grading is really good. That's something I never talk about in a movie, but the color grading was like amazing. Like it looked like, what happened to Sam Mendes? Because that guy has quite an eye, and now he makes those boring James Bond movies.
Yeah, he hasn't done a lot lately. He's kind of garbage.
He did 1917. I loved that.
You know what?
Yeah,
I did love
that was
1917.
good. That was good. I forgot all about that movie. I take it back. Good job, Sam.
That's a good gimmick movie, though.
It's not something I'd revisit. I enjoyed it once. I thought it was well made.
Have you either one of you? I know I'm sure neither one of you have actually seen it, but seen the new Superman? It's like the Lois and Clark show or something.
I've seen clips of it. Yeah.
The guy that plays Superman is the kid from that.
I saw that.
Oh.
It fucking blew my mind because I was like, you know how on the Plex it'll show the actors? It showed that guy, and I was like, who's that guy? I was like, oh, he's the little kid. And then I was like, oh,
yeah, it's like 22 years later.
I was like, shit. I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about before we get into Five Knuckle Shuffles?
He also made Jarhead, which I liked.
Jarhead, but that came out 30 years
after
ago.
this.
Or 20 years
enough.
ago. Yeah. But yeah,
he came out strong with American Beauty, Road to Perdition, and Jarhead.
American Beauty does not hold up at all.
Does it not?
No.
I guess not.
I liked it when it came out, but it does not hold up.
Mm.
Also, as much as everybody knows that I have a huge crush on Thora Birch, her nudity in that movie is problematic as
At
hell.
best.
I mean, she was underage. It's kind of weird. And her creepy ass parents were like, "No, it's fine." It's like, like at some point the director should have been like, "Yeah, let's cut this." Like that's not
legally. This is not fine.
Yeah, it's very weird. But that's not even the worst. But that movie again, I implore you, go watch it. It does not hold up. It's disappointing.
I mean, from what I remember, everything about it is just like
it's very
edgy.
That's exactly.
Chris, what's his name? Oh, he's a Nazi, a secret Nazi.
Chris Cooper. He's a secret gay Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex 100% right though. That's the problem. Yeah. It's all like super edgelord crap for the 90s. It's very late 90s.
It's a 90s art movie.
Yeah.
It's an Attitude Era arts movie.
That's hilarious.
Break it down.
Apparently, some football player did the "suck it" sign and got fined for it. My mom sent me a.
Oh, I saw.
No, it was Joel Embiid.
Who?
Yeah, it was an NBA
from the 76ers.
Oh, I thought it was a football player for some reason. Shows how
Joel
much
Embiid got feed. It was like $52,000 for doing the "suck it."
Oh, that's worth it.
$52,000 for him is like 30 minutes.
One game. Yeah, not right.
All right, let's get into Five Knuckle Shuffles, I guess.
Did you say Alec?
Alec.
Alec.
Out.
Sorry,
I'm gonna give it a 7.
That's a good score.
I liked it. I thought it was solid. Like Tom Hanks really, when you look at his oeuvre, has not had a lot of missteps. And this isn't one of them. I don't know. It was a little too long and a little too slow. But I know movies based in this time period are going to be long and slow. It's just.
It took them a while to get places back then. Cars could only go like 35 miles an hour.
Yeah. And they were all manual. And
they didn't have. And they didn't have radios.
The kid had to learn how to shift on the fly.
They also didn't have power steering.
That's pretty much how my first time driving a stick shift went too. Boom, 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 boom.
I just can't imagine driving in silence. Like that just sounds awful. Like
pack a harmonica.
The driving blues man.
Blues traveler, just have it sit right there.
Literal blues traveler.
Hey.
So it's 7.
But, 7. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. More hits than misses. But definitely going to have some higher movies later this month, unless somebody picks the Red Circle or whatever that movie's called.
Oh, The Circle.
What the fuck was that called? Yeah, that was
The Circle.
Dog shit. Didn't you watch that?
Apple movie.
I feel like you talked about that on the show.
No, I watched the TV show. There's a TV show where it's like catfishing called The Circle. I didn't actually watch the movie. Is like a play on Apple.
I remember the trailers. It looked stupid as hell. All right, pass the mic.
I'm giving this a 10. I mean, not for nothing, my sappy ass teared up a little bit describing the plot. I loved this movie. It did it for me.
Does it hit you harder because you have two sons now?
I feel like that's a cop-out answer, but I'm going to say yes.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, no, I think so. Like, you see, there's things, like, because there's, like, a bunch of the stuff that's in there, it's like, it's talking about, like, how do you relate to your kids, and how does that, like, how do you navigate that, and that hit
If
home.
you're my father, the answer is you don't.
Well, I mean, and that's, like, what we all don't want to have happen, right? Like, it's...
No, I'm just kidding. I'm making jokes, people. It's all jokes. Funny jokes.
But I thought Tom Hanks was great in it. I thought Paul Newman was amazing in it. Everyone's acting their ass off. It's beautifully shot. The soundtrack's great. I don't think we touched on that.
Soundtrack is really good.
It's like moving. It's moving and
score. It's not really
the score, not soundtrack.
Yeah, I loved when Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys. It really came out of nowhere.
Paul Newman just like shaking the Intergalactic. It's getting riddled with bullets. No, it's I loved it. I am shocked because when we talked about it, I remember thinking it was good, but I don't think I've seen it in 20 years. And it's like, I feel like it's criminally underappreciated. So I've been gloating on that's all the gloating I'll do. But it's a 10. It's my favorite movie we've watched on the show this year. TJ.
Oh
wow, that's impressive. It's a 10 for me, dog. I fucking love this movie. I also just want to say that, like, I love this period, like this time period. Like, I loved Boardwalk Empire up until about season 3. I just love like the Prohibition era. I even like, it's not a very good movie, but the Yojimbo remake that takes place in this time period, Last Man Standing, the Bruce Willis movie, I kind of like that. I mean, it's not good. It's not nearly on this level, but I'm just a sucker for the Prohibition era. I just find the time period very interesting. But this movie, I mean, it's just all, like, you know, we talk so much about bad movies and when they just constantly make the worst decisions. And this is an example of a movie that, like, I feel like every little choice they made was the right choice. I feel like, you know, in a less capable director's hands, I feel like there's so many of these scenes that would feel bloated or like overdone. Like Gogs talked about in the very beginning of the synopsis, where the scene where you see Michael witness the murder that Daniel Craig does, to shoot that from his perspective is super cool. Like, I love that. And it's just a great touch. And also, like, the fact that most of it's obscured and you don't really see everything.
Well, you come to realize as the scene plays out, he's watching it from basically the heels of his dad. Like, the shots,
exactly.
like, it's bananas.
And another visual metaphor for him literally, like, being in his father's foot, like the shadow of his father, right? Like, right. I mean, it's a literal visual metaphor for what the movie, you know, hammers home. And I love that. I loved in the very beginning, you know, Michael goes to the wake and his dad's like, no dice, don't bring the dice, you know, cause like, again, it's showing that he's already, you know, there's little scant bits of like kind of the seedier side of life already in him. You know what I mean? And I just, man, I love that stuff. And I love, you know, kid actors, generally hit or miss. This kid's really good. I thought he was great. And Tom Hanks, can't say enough good things about Tom Hanks. I mean, he is just, you know, I don't think I would ever think of Tom Hanks as like a heavy, and he's perfect in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, he commands the screen. He definitely has a presence of this kind of, this like threatening aura about him. And it's just great. Daniel Craig is great. Paul Newman is just a powerhouse in this movie. Like, and again, like, he's so complex as a character, right? Like, he's clearly like this mob boss that's got, you know, gallons of blood on his hands, but he still like has this core where he like wants to be good and wants to take care of people. And it's just like, I mean, even his relationship with Tom Hanks, right? Like, he raised him, but he's just he's just using Tom Hanks, but like he does love him to a certain extent. It's wild. Like it's just it's like people. Like it's very complicated. And the fact that his moral code, he knows his son's a piece of shit. He knows his son's like wildly out of control, but like he can't sell his son down the river, like there's that scene early on where Paul Newman is dressing down Daniel Craig, and then Daniel Craig literally starts crying, and he can't help himself but to like embrace his son and be like, there, it's okay. Like, I don't know. Like, there's just so much good about this movie. And, there's not a ton of action in this movie, but like the few little flourishes of like the shootout in the hotel room is done really well. And, there's a couple other little scenes, like again, the murder in the beginning of the movie, like, I don't know, to me, this is just a movie that gets everything right, and I really enjoy it, and, I'm with you guys, I think it should be talked about more. This is a movie that's basically forgotten to time, like, I hear no one bring this movie up, like, ever, so
it should at least be in the conversation of some of the best mob movies, and it's not even, it's never brought up.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's a 10. I loved it. I'm glad it held up, because that's why I picked it, because I hadn't seen this since I saw it in the theater 20 years ago, and I loved it. So yeah, that's Road to Perdition. It's your birthday pick, guys. What do you got?
So I'll let the group decide, because I have a Hanksgiving
pick. It's your birthday pick.
All right, then we're gonna watch How High by Method Man and Redman, because I've never seen it, and I want to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I've never seen it either.
Well, I love Method Man and I love Redman, so I figured let's just give this a whirl.
I mean, it's your birthday.
But that was Philadelphia, so there's...
Oh my God.
Fuck.
I've never seen Philadelphia either, so
let's go with How High. How High sounds a lot more fun. Less AIDS in
well, I don't know that. I've never seen How High.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Redman was his MTV Cribs, where he had his gold records sitting on his kitchen floor. He's like, yeah, I've been meaning to hang those up.
Dude, his Cribs is the best. He's got like a mattress with like no cover on it, and like next to his bed, just a thing of lotion and tissues. Like he's like, welcome to my bed.
Didn't he have like a shoebox full of money just on the refrigerator?
Like a backpack full of cash just sitting around. And he still lives in like Newark, New Jersey. Redman's a real one.
Yeah, that shit was hilarious.
Criminally underappreciated lyricist.
All right, next week, How High? Let's smoke a blunt. Smoke a fatty for Gogs being a pimp daddy. How about that?
Nice.
All right, everybody, that's the show. I need to find food. I'm gonna go forage for my dinner.
Go get some Ekibon. I had that earlier today.
It's just far enough where it's inconvenient to get, but yeah, it's very good. And next week, Sean will be back, so it'll be back to a full power show.
Yay.
So I'll have to let his jaw relax for a couple of days.
Yeah, he hasn't been on a show in a while.
I know. It's been like at least a month.
He wasn't on last week? I thought he was.
No. He missed last week. And I don't think he never, did he do the Southland Tales episode? Did he make it back for that?
He did. We made him be present for that.
We delayed that show for like a month because we forced him to be on it. we delayed that show so long. I watched Southland Tales twice.
All
right, everybody.
That pushes our 400th anniversary back till next year because we waited so long to do Southland Tales.
Son of a bitch.
No, it's all right. We'll get over it. When are we doing the Molies? I guess.
Oh,
New
yeah.
Year's or?
We got time. We always do it in December, so.
All right. Well,
we'll
figure it out.
End of December.
The fan will be happy.
Yeah. Brent and Anthony will be happy.
Who was that one crazy guy that cataloged all that shit a while ago?
Yep.
Is he still around? The one that was supposed to get a Joker.
We never sent it to him. I don't know. I lost touch with him. I used to talk to him through Instagram. Anyway, I really got to go eat. So bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Just hit the stop recording.